The exhibition, like you rightfully said, is titled The Way They See Us. And one of the reasons why I was particular about this title was because I wanted to explore perception from various angles, from the standpoint of being an outsider and from the standpoint of, the person who is receiving an outsider. I wanted to explore perception because majorly I work with things surrounding identity. So now we're moving away from just identity to how is this identity received, and generally the picture is to encourage people to embrace differences and peculiarities amongst one another.
And Sokari Higgwe,
Yes.
you are on record as saying that you're concerned that there's not enough art by Black people on display in London. What's your concern?
Yeah, it's a concern that I think we all have in the industry, especially people from the ethnic minority. Because if you go to most of the major galleries, the major museums, and there's very little representation of Black art, and especially contemporary art. I think there's also the perception in the major galleries, and most people think that Black art or African art is usually the artifacts of, like the Benin bronze and things like that. And that's sort of the narrative that people have pushed forward. Whereas there's a whole wealth of new up-and-coming artists doing fantastic works. I mean, I have to say it's also changing, but it's just not enough. We've got people like Sokari Douglas Camp, Yinka Shonibare, Njideka, but those are sort of the few you can just count your fingers. And, so we do want to have more representation, and I don't think the major galleries do that.
Returning to Jacqueline, if I may, it's a curiosity that you use a ballpoint pen. I think I may have called it the humble ballpoint pen. Why do you do that?
So I originally trained as a painter, but none of the material I was using in the studio was giving me the best expression with my lines. So if you use charcoal pencils or pastels, they would end up blurring or smudging with time. But the ballpoint pen enables me to get this crispness in my lines that I hadn't found before. And then also because of how rich the ink is, it gives me this depth in contrast that I also appreciate. So at the end of the day, after using all the other materials, I settled the ballpoint pen because it gave me the best results. Although it taught me a lot of patience too, because it takes a lot of time to achieve the level of depth and contrast I would achieve with charcoal. But yes, I still love the results at the end of the day.
And Sokari, given the comments you just made, is your space dedicated to Black art? Always are all the exhibitions that you mount of Black art? And tell me a little bit about your space.
Yeah, no, definitely not. My space, we say we're a space for all creatives. I think one of the main reasons for me is to encourage up-and-coming artists. And it doesn't matter what color or where they come from. I think the priority is the artwork. And again, one of the reasons we set up was I'm an artist myself, and I didn't get a chance when I was looking for ways to show my work. So it was more to provide a space where I can encourage and nurture artists of all spectrum, basically. But we do, look at Black artists as well, not ignore them as some of the other museums do. And then usually Black History Month, we pick one artist and then sort of highlight to show, last year we had a young man called Brunel Johnson, and this year we have Jacqueline. So yeah, and our space we're based in Canning, just like you said, it's near Canning Town Station in a place called London City Island. It's a very flexible space. We have a photography studio as well alongside the gallery. And we try and sort of change the shows as often as we can to encourage more people to show their works.